Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the DCL Show, your source for Disney Cruise news and reviews. Coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined this week by my good friends, Erica Resnick.
Hi, everyone.
Craig Williams, our producer.
Oh, hoi, hoi.
And joining us via Skype, Ms. Elaine Edwards.
Hi, friends.
And just a reminder, this show, along with all the shows we produce, brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. Experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney Cruise Line vacation. You'll get a fantastic agent like Ms. Elaine Edwards, who are going to help you navigate the waters, so to speak, of booking your Disney cruise and answering all your questions. Plus, you're also going to get a shipboard credit up to $1,000. When you get on the ship, it'll be sitting there on your account. You can use that to buy souvenirs, drinks, whatever you want to spend on board. So please, choose Dreams Unlimited Travel. I'm just off today. Choose Dreams Unlimited Travel for your next Disney Cruise Line vacation, and we appreciate your support. All right, this week, we are talking about something, and I have already forgotten what we're talking about. What are we talking about, Greg?
Alaska.
How could I have forgotten Alaska? We're going to talk about Alaska.
Yes. Nice refresher, because Elaine says she's been getting a ton of questions from her clients on Alaska. So apparently it's been too long since we've gushed about Alaska. So the main questions we're going to try to go over today are if it's worth going on Disney Cruise Line for Alaska, if that's something you should consider, as well as some input on excursions that you can do while you're in Alaska, because you don't want to get there and just be like, I'll have a pool day. Why not just sit around?
Well, I can tell you, I've done Alaska with both Disney and Royal Caribbean. And I only did Royal Caribbean once. I did Norwegian once too. Those two experiences, for me, with other cruise lines other than Disney going to Alaska cured me of any desire to use anyone other than Disney. It's just not the same. Yes, Disney is going to be more expensive. There's no two ways about it. And look, if the price point is a deal breaker, then yes, use Royal. I would do Royal before I do Norwegian again. But lower your expectations. These are older ships that they use on the Alaska sailings. And Royal Caribbean has openly admitted to me that the service level and the food on their older ships are below what they are on their bigger, newer ships, like the Oasis, the Allure, the Quantum class ships. They're not embarrassed by this. I think they should be. But I found the service and the food, I forgot which Royal ship we did, but I found the service and the food to be way below par. So yeah, you're saving money, and Alaska in and of itself is a destination and an experience everyone should have. Sailing up the Inside Passage is an experience everyone should have. I just found the experience on Disney to be worth the difference in price. But I would absolutely say, if that price point is just out of your reach, but Royal or Norwegian do Royal or Norwegian.
I would actually go the opposite too. I'm in the dissenting opinion, having done Disney and Princess. I love Disney Cruise Line. I can't think of a ship I've been on besides maybe the Viking cruise that we did around Italy. That was the nicest cruise ship I've been on personally.
Yeah, that was nice.
But beyond that, my favorite ships are Disney ships. Just everything about the style, the amenities, the comfort of them. I think Disney is just it feels like old school style cruising, but with everything modern, and then that Disney attachment to it. It's why we love Disney Cruise Line. But Disney Cruise Line is insanely expensive for Alaska, and like I try to tell anyone that I'm talking to, if you just want to do the normal regular loop with Disney Cruise Line, where you go up and do Ketchikan, Skagway, Juneau. I think sometimes don't they do Vancouver, or not Vancouver, goes in and out of Vancouver, the British Columbia.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have stopped in British Columbia before.
Yeah, I can't remember the
but
name.
That was
of
when we were coming out of. I want to say that was when we were coming out of Seattle.
Yeah, maybe that's.
I don't think they do it anymore.
Yeah, and and I know in the old days they at one point in time they used to stop at one other place in Alaska as well too. But that for that loop, I think if Disney's in your price range, go for it. But with like once you start looking at cruise lines like Princess and other cruise lines, you can start doing one-way cruises where you can leave out of Vancouver, you can hit all the big stops in Alaska, but then end up in Anchorage, and then once you're up there, you have access to Denali National Park, which I mean, unless you specifically fly up to Alaska to go to Denali, you're probably not just going to randomly go up there. So if you can use cruising as a way to find your way up there, then you can experience that national park that is so far up. And like on our Princess cruise, we stopped in Glacier Bay National Park, and they brought on a park ranger that did everything that you said that Disney does for the Inside Passage. The park ranger was there pointing out fun facts and doing all of that. So it was a very similar experience, at least on that cruise line, and at a significant fraction of the cost. However, with that one-way cruise, you get into pricier airfare because you're going into Canada and then out of the United States. So it's a little bit more messy. But I loved the Disney experience in Alaska. The only issue I have with the Disney experience is that the ship is such a destination for me, that with Alaska, you're there for that destination. And so I feel conflicted. Like I'm not able to enjoy the things I love about Disney Cruise Line while I'm in Alaska because I'm too busy caring about the destination.
Would you forego a veranda stateroom for an inside stateroom on Disney?
I always say yes on that, just because I think that going up the Inside Passage, if you're not on that top deck and you are looking out to the left and right and seeing both sides at the same time as it feels like it's on top of you, then you're not getting the full experience. It's like the difference between watching a movie and watching a 3D movie where you feel like you're enveloped in the world.
Well, I mean, they have a sailing in August, so we're talking about in a couple of months. So this is the highest this rate's going to get. Inside stateroom, $3,200 for two people.
That's
very good. And that's available on a number of sailings at that price point for an inside stateroom. Now, for me personally, I like to have the veranda. I like to have the veranda for especially the Alaska cruise. I don't think I would do an inside stateroom.
Yeah.
Now, that price point, you're looking at about $7,000.
Yeah. 3,200 though. That is interesting because there are nice parts with Disney too. Like as you mentioned, having the wildlife expert on spotting out different animals while you're moving up the Inside Passage. It's really unique. Obviously, if you're a fan of Disney characters in special outfits, they're all wearing their Alaskan gear, so they're all dressed up and making sure they look all warm, even if you're going up the Inside Passage on a hotter day. So there's still unique benefits to cruising with Disney going on, but at like $7,000 for a veranda, that's out of my price range. But $3,200 for an inside stateroom, that could get a little interesting for me.
See, and that go ahead, Elaine. I'm sorry.
A lot of that is because it is August. August is the cheapest time that you can sail Alaska. And like even if you look at the entire month of August, the beginning of the month starts at one price and it kind of continuously goes down throughout the month. So that's what, July is going to be your most expensive Alaska sailings. And those first few in May, and then August are you going to be least expensive? So if you can choose one of those
Well,
bookends.
I just went to July. 3,800 for an inside stateroom in July. It's
Oh.
not that much more expensive.
They must have them marked down then, because it's usually a big difference.
Concierge is starting at 20,000
Yeah.
for a concierge stateroom. Veranda about 72 to 7,300. Ocean view around 5,000. Inside stateroom about 3,800, and that's in July.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's if you book that now for this coming July,
Right.
which again, booking further out. Let me go ahead and look at July of next year and see what kind of pricing we have there. But for my money, I'm willing to pay more for service. I'm willing to pay more for Disney Magic, especially right now because it's so hard to find anywhere else. So if this ever wants to come up, July of next year.
Well, I have a question really quick, because it's a dream for me to do an Alaska sailing, because my wife's bucket list item is to go to Alaska. Do you ever feel like seasickness, or is it very steady?
Oh, on the
over
inside,
there?
especially the inside passage, because you have land on both sides, so that it's like sailing on glass. It's so smooth.
That's awesome. Okay.
Now, once you get out into open water, it's like any other cruise. It just depends on the weather. But I've had probably less motion on Alaska cruises than I have on any other ones that I've done.
Okay. Good to know.
The only time I kind of was able to gauge like a little bit of a rougher cruise with Alaska was on our Princess cruise, as we were kind of like hightailing it out in more open water. They had like one bar that was right at sea level, and so as it was moving, we were watching the waves kind of like hit the window, and at that point it's like, maybe I'm feeling something a little bit with it. But Alaska's a perfect first cruise for, in my opinion, for anyone who is afraid of cruising and being like out in the middle of the ocean in a Caribbean cruise and worried about that, because most of the time, you can see land like right out in the distance. You're close by, and it is so much smoother that I think it's a nice introduction without like being also going to like a Mediterranean cruise or something even more insanely
And I got to be
expensive.
honest, Elaine, this is kind of blowing my mind. It's actually more expensive to book for next year right now than it is to book for this year.
It is, and honestly, I believe that because
not
right
much
now,
more, but it's definitely more expensive.
Right, the cruise line industry it's still a little. We're still recovering a little bit right now, and people are nervous about going all the way to Canada and testing positive when they get to the port. So it's still a little right now. So I think they are definitely offering some last minute deals if you still want to travel this summer.
Yeah, it's because I'm looking at inside staterooms, July of next year, 4,700.
Right.
Is the price point, 8,700 for a veranda. So definitely more expensive than traveling this July. So opportunities there for last minute Alaska cruises. Not that, I mean, you do have to fly into Canada, so you have to factor that in. And the testing requirements are different for these cruises than they are for coming out of Port Canaveral, correct?
They are. There are some procedures that you have to go through just when you're going into Canada. They have this website that you have to register on and test and that kind of thing. And I believe that they're still testing at the port there, but you don't have to test coming back into the United States now, as of the time of the recording of this show. So
we have to say that all the time now, don't we?
I know, because last week it literally something changed as we said something. So,
But
So yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like if you want to go this summer, there is an opportunity to save a lot of money, as we have been saying for the last almost year now, that the ships are not full and the pricing is really good. It is a really great time to cruise if you can.
doing these shows costs me so much money. I hope you people realize that, because I'm sitting here looking at these prices for this year going, I don't have an Alaska cruise planned for this year. Anybody feel like going to Alaska?
You know I will always go.
If I had the time, I would be back in Alaska immediately. But where do you find the time?
Where do you find the time?
Yeah, you find the time when you have a boss that says, "Go ahead, you've earned a trip to Alaska."
Well, I'll start fidgeting with
At
the
those
numbers.
prices, I could justify a content trip.
It's getting very close to that, for sure.
We haven't done.
Theoretically, when was the last time you went to Alaska? Because they haven't sailed for 3 years.
Well, the last time that I went to Alaska was just my family vacation, and that was 2018 or 20. I don't think it was 2019. I think it was 2018. But the last time we did the full-blown Alaska content trip with the Diz was in 2013. And that was a long time ago, obviously.
Yeah, we haven't covered Alaska in a while. This might be something I have to. You're literally watching how these trips come up, how we come up with them when we cover stuff. You're literally watching how we do it. It might not be a terrible idea.
If we can find the time where it all works, then you know what? It's intriguing. It's Alaska.
Finding the time where it all works comes down to me saying you're going to Alaska on these dates, because you work for me, and I get to do that. But now, one of the other questions, Elaine, that you get asked a lot is about excursions, correct?
Yes. There are, if you go to Disney Cruise Line's website, they have the list, and it is massive. There are so many things to do at every single port. And a lot of people say to me, what excursion should I do? And it's hard to pick for someone else because you don't know what they're into. You don't know if they're into nature and hiking, or if they want to see animals, or if they want to go on the trains, or if they want to go out to the glaciers, or that kind of thing. So I would love to hear what you and Craig's favorite excursions that you have done.
There are 3 that really stand out to me. One of which I've done multiple times. I'm not a big excursion guy. I'm a big go explore on my own kind of guy. I'm also a big go shopping kind of guy. So that's one of the reasons I like to do that. Because they don't have shopping excursions. If they had a shopping excursion, I'd be on that every time. But, and you can do some very good shopping in Alaska, especially if you're looking for jewelry. You can do some good shopping in Alaska. One of the ones I did this on Adventures by Disney add-on. I did the Adventures by Disney add-on with an Alaska cruise, but they offer this excursion is taking the helicopter to a glacier to go dog sledding. Now, the only way I would have done this initially is if I was forced to, which I was. My ex-husband was determined we were doing this because it was included with the Adventures by Disney trip. Because nothing about that sentence is appealing to me. Helicopter, glacier, dog sledding. But then I did it. And getting to see the ship from a helicopter, landing on the glacier, and doing the dog sledding. 3 experiences I will never forget. I will never, ever. Now, it's a very expensive excursion. If I'm not mistaken, that excursion is north of $1,000 a person. So it's a very expensive one. The other one that I've done that I really enjoyed was the Jewel Gardens and glass blowing excursion. Jewel Gardens, beautiful small garden area. They have a little restaurant there. I don't remember if they served us food the last time, but you can eat. You can have a nice little restaurant there, and a most adorable gift shop, and then this glass blowing demonstration, and you get to do your own glass blown ornament. And I've got like 3 of them because I've done this excursion a number of times.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah, the Jewel Gardens one. Especially if you're not into hiking, you're not like nature person like me. Like I'm not nature boy. I'm not nature boy. I'm not one of the crunchy gays, as they say. That was really, really enjoyable. I know my mother really enjoyed that as well. We did that with my mom. And then there was another one, and I'm losing it now. Oh my God. One excursion they do, it's incredibly difficult to get. This is one of the ones you've got to book the minute the booking window opens. And even then, it's hard to get. But they do this excursion where a tender boat pulls up to the ship when you're at, I think it's Dawes Glacier or whichever glacier they go to. So the ship is still in the water, like you're not a dock, you're not like docked in a port or anything. Ship is anchored, and they pull up and this halfway decent sized tender boat. Maybe holds about, I don't know, 50 to 100 people. And they take you all the way up to the glacier. You get within a couple hundred feet of this glacier, and you see the sea lions, and it's spectacular. It is absolutely spectacular. Very, very, very difficult to get. Very difficult to get. We were lucky. We were in concierge on that trip, and concierge was able to get us last minute onto that excursion. So those 3 are the ones that really stand out. I've done the train.
Yeah, well, that's leading into mine. I think if you're talking Skagway, in terms of excursions, they'll basically offer whale watching at every single stop that you go to. I think keep your whale watching to either Ketchikan or Juneau,
or Vancouver.
Or Vancouver, even. Yeah, no, that's a great point as well too. You can knock it off with that, but. I think with Skagway, you basically have to do the train into the Yukon Territory, or like I've done twice now, drive Jeeps up into it. One time I did it with Disney as a guided excursion. It was fun. Then the next time I did it, we just rented them because we had enough time in port that it was not going to be an issue at all, knowing that we'd get back. And I mean, it's a beautiful drive, or I'm sure it's a beautiful train ride too, but the drive's just nice because you get to stop and actually get out and take pictures. They do I know they do it in a couple of the ports too. If you're interested in doing like the experience of seeing the dog sledding dogs, you can do that. Besides, like Pete said, his big thing with it, you can just go and visit the areas where they have these dogs and kind of see them do their thing.
And we've done that too.
Yeah.
We saw the puppies.
Yes.
Little dog sled puppy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, I would cry.
It's adorable. Yeah, they're adorable. So I would recommend that as well. I think if you're in Juneau, Mendenhall Glacier is something you should go and see. It's a beautiful, I can't remember the name of the nature preserve that it's on, but it is a beautiful area. You get to see a glacier, a giant waterfall. There's hiking trails all around. It's awesome. With Ketchikan, I don't know. That's my least favorite stop. of the entire thing. So if there's an excursion you want to do on that day that seems interesting, I would do it just because of the town area. I don't think there's enough to keep you occupied for too long. I know a lot of people like the logger show that they do there, where it's lumberjacks climbing poles and stuff. I've never done it. It's on my list to do one time, but something else always just pops up with Catch a
We
Can
did that
for
on
me.
the ABD as well.
Yeah, it's people rave about it who do it. They think it's very entertaining, so I think that's worth it. And then my last shout out, it's not excursions, but I always get asked about beer everywhere I go. If you are in Juneau, I would recommend taking Uber or Lyft to the Alaskan Brewing Company. They have a small little brewery, but it's worth the rideshare cost to get out there and try some of their beers, because you'll most likely have a couple of their offerings on ships. But it's nicer to get more options. And then when you're in Skagway, there's one called Klondike Brewing, and then there's another called Skagway Brewing. And those are both worth stopping at. So that's my beer picks. And I'm done.
Now, Elaine, have you done Alaska?
I have not done it before. It was going to be I was planning it for summer of 2020, and then we know how that turned out. So.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you just did your first cruise out of Port Canaveral, so you haven't.
Yeah. I haven't been to Alaska yet.
Not yet. So only Craig and I.
That's right.
And look, I'm going to be honest with you. Of all the places I've cruised, of all the experiences I've had cruising, none compare to Alaska. I tell people this all the time. When they say, oh, we're thinking about Alaska, don't think about it. Book it. Do it. It is an experience you will not forget. There is nothing we can say on this show. No picture we take, no video we shoot, that can begin to really convey how truly awe-inspiring this destination is. Every time we come back from these trips and I look at my pictures, and I'm halfway decent with a camera. I mean, I'm not a professional photographer, but I'm pretty decent with a camera. I look at these pictures and go, yeah, it's a nice picture, but being there was so much nicer. And I'm imagining those of you who have been to Alaska probably can relate to what I'm saying. It's one of the few destinations where I really felt that pictures don't do it justice.
Yeah. And it takes you to places where you probably wouldn't be going. And a lot of cruises can do that, but there are people who go to the Bahamas, they'll fly in to go to Atlantis. There's people, if you're talking Mediterranean cruise, they're already going to go to Barcelona, Rome, Venice, all those cities. They'll go to Greece. A lot of the cruise lines will take you to places that you probably would already go. You're just going to get a shortened version. But there's not a lot of people out there who would say, you know what, I have a free week, I'm going to fly up to Skagway and just go there. So I feel like that makes it even more special. That it truly does feel like you're seeing these because of the cruise. And it's worth seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, anything else we need to add to this? Okay, there you have it. Those are our thoughts on Alaska. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another episode of the DCL Show. Have a great week, everyone.